The Phoenix Suns are currently down 3-2 and are on the verge of losing the NBA Finals after winning the first two games. Few teams have ever blown a 2-0 lead in the finals. In light of that fact, there have been plenty of discussions amongst NBA fans and in the media about what losing this series will do to Chris Paul's legacy, where he ranks on the all-time players list, whether or not he's a top 5 point guard, and all that stuff. In my opinion, it should not negatively affect his legacy at all. In fact, I think all this talk about it hurting his legacy is kind of ridiculous. Why, you might ask? Well, it's because, and I said this about LeBron, well, I did not make a video about it, but after the Lakers lost in the first round and people were having similar discussions about LeBron at the time, I felt the same way about him as I do about Paul right now. I think folks take for granted that Chris Paul and LeBron are 36. They're 36!
I'm 36!
A lot of players don't even last in the NBA until they're 36, let alone still have expectations to lead a team to a championship at that age. Even if they play poorly in a game or series, I don't care. It has no bearing on how good I think these guys are all time, because I know how good they were in their primes. I know a lot of people dislike Nick Wright, and sure, he has said a fair share of things I disagree with, but one thing Wright has said several times on his show that I agree with is that he does not think it's possible for a player to move backwards on the all-time list. For instance, if an NBA player plays 10 or 12 seasons and has a career worthy of being considered, let's say, top 20 all-time, but then plays 3 or 4 more seasons and doesn't play particularly well during that time, maybe he loses in the first round every year or has a few bad playoff series. Nick Wright does not think those bad seasons should cause a player to now move outside of the top 20 or move backwards on the all-time list. And I am sympathetic towards that viewpoint. To say otherwise would essentially be saying it would have been better for that player just to retire after 12 seasons instead of playing an extra few seasons. You would have held that player in higher regard if he retired instead of continuing to play. I think Dirk Nowitzki is a pretty good example of this. Everybody loves Dirk because of the 2011 title, and that playoff run is pretty much the reason why many people have him as a definite top 20 player. However, after 2011, he lost in the first round or missed the playoffs entirely every season after, and no one cares, and rightfully so. He was an older player and his legacy was already solidified. I largely feel the same way about Paul and LeBron here. If you had CP3 in your top 5 point guards of all time, him not being able to take over a series at 36 should not be the reason you move him out. If you think LeBron is the greatest of all time, better than Michael Jordan, him not being able to beat a 2 seed at 36 should not be the reason you rethink your opinion on that. I just think after a player reaches a certain age or stage in his career, maybe around 33 or so, nothing that player does should quote-unquote ruin his legacy. Their legacies are already set. Everything they do from this point on should just be gravy or frosting. If Paul or LeBron lead their respective teams to a championship, that's cool, that'd be great. If they aren't able to, okay, we shouldn't kill them for it. We shouldn't expect them to be able to do that at this point in their careers anyway.